don't even know what's going on with the lighting anymore. I mean, it's winter in Scotland. What are you gonna do? Hi guys, it's Lianne and I am here today with my first book haul of 2019. I feel like there should be like ambient trumpets or something in the background when I announce things like that. I bought books! I bought too many books. But we're not about guilt on this channel, are we? So, onwards I guess. I have no self-control. So the first book that I picked up is one that I have already talked about a little bit in my Save February TBR, which is going not bad. It's not perfect, but it's much better than it was. And that is Temple by Matthew Reilly. This is a ridiculous adventure novel, very much in the style of all of Matthew Reilly's books, I am told, where a linguist is, I don't know whether he volunteers or is press ganged at this point, but he goes on an expedition to an ancient Inca temple to investigate some mysterious writing, and I'm assuming that he's with a crack team of Indiana Jones type adventurers, and there will be many dead people and boom action scenes along the way, which is apparently that's what Matthew Reilly does exclusively. Leave your common sense at the door. The next book on my list is one that I was really highly anticipating this year, and I'm so glad that I have it in my possession. You guys know that I am a big advocate of mental health awareness, and one of the components of that is reading about yourself in books, finding representations of your mental health and knowing that you are not alone. And one of my favourite mediums for that is the graphic memoir. My favourites are Hyperbole and a Half, It's All Absolutely Fine, and all of Sarah Anderson's everything that she does. All the things. Hi Sarah, I'm your #1 fan. So I was delighted to discover that one of my favoritist Instagram accounts, Introvert Doodles, was going to be made into a full colour graphic novel. This is Kind of Coping by Maureen, or Marzi as we know her online, Wilson, and it's just great. Not only does it have genuinely helpful little things like ideas for what to do when you have anxiety, but it also tells some pretty personal anxiety stories in Marzi's very unique comic turn of phrase. There's lessons in here for yourself and also for your loved ones, and I find books like this to be really helpful to gift to someone so that I can say, like, I know you're struggling, I know you don't want to talk about it, but I understand. The next one that I've got is one that has pretty much taken the thriller part of BookTube by storm, and also kind of the literary fiction part, which is why I'm a little bit worried about it, but it has serial killer in the title, so I'm a persevere, I'm a plug through. I don't know what this is, I'm gonna stop that now. It is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. Now, I believe that this one is set in Nigeria, and that alone would have been enough for me to pick it up, because crime and thrillers are not the most diverse in the book world, guys. There's a lot of catching up that those genres really need to do. So I was in from the moment that I heard that. Then I was in because I read the synopsis. So this book is about a woman who receives a distress call late one night from her sister. And the synopsis on this one says that she knows exactly what her sister needs, which is rubber gloves, bleach and a strong stomach, because her sister has just dispatched her third boyfriend in the name of self-defense, and yeah, it sounds messy. It sounds messy. The next one that I've picked up is a graphic novel. Now, I have been very vocal over the years about my graphic novel buying, as in I don't anymore, because I read them too quickly to be able to justify the cost. If I had a library close to me that stocked a decent graphic novel collection, I would read a hell of a lot more than I do. But I don't. Unfortunately, I live in a small, fairly rural area and the library is poop. So I've pretty much banned myself, because it's It's too much money for too little return. And again, this is my opinion. It doesn't have to be your opinion, but I am poor enough. However, I cannot stop hearing about this next one, which is My Brother's Husband Volume 1. So what Gengoro Tagami has essentially created is a story about a Westerner who was married to a Japanese man and his husband died, and he has now travelled back to Japan to get in touch with his husband's family and to attempt to find some sort of connection there, because he feels he can't handle the grief on his own and he wants to try and keep a part of his husband alive. This one promises to explore the closeting that takes place in the Japanese culture, because they are still very behind the rest of the world when it comes to letting who you are hang out there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited about this one. The artwork is gorgeous and I got it for reasonably cheap on my Kindle. So I don't feel as bad as if I had bought the massive omnibus paperback, which was very expensive. Look at me pretending I'm frugal. The next one that I have got is Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles. This cover is just, it's stunning. This one is along the lines of The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I mean, the comparison is unavoidable in that it really revolves around the shooting of a black kid by a police officer, but the format is very different. So Tyler goes to a party and his brother Marvin decides to tag along and I think ride a little bit on his brother's coattails, let's be honest. However, there is a police raid on the party and Tyler then goes missing. Shortly thereafter, he is found dead, and in a terrifying sequence of events, the truth comes out via a viral video which is uploaded anonymously, which shows Tyler being shot by a police officer, and it then explores the repercussions on Tyler's family and community while everybody tries to piece together exactly what happened and who took the video. The next book that I picked up at the start of January was another non-fiction, and it is The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule, which is essentially her retelling of everything that happened with Ted Bundy from her perspective as somebody who actually actively worked with him and had no freaking idea, like everybody else in the world had no freaking idea. I picked this one up at apparently what is the height of Ted Bundy madness. I had no idea that any of the things were happening before they happened. So the Ted Bundy tapes had dropped on Netflix like the week after I bought this, and then we got the announcement of the really awful movie. So I don't know entirely how I feel about either the Bundy tapes or the movie, and that again I feel like when we are looking at crime non-fiction surrounding serial killers and things, we should really be focusing more on the victims and a little bit less on glorifying how cool all of the things that the killer did were and how like sneaky he was at getting away with it and what law enforcement eventually did to, you know what I mean. I'm just really conscious right now that there is a lot of true crime out there and that it's not all quality true crime, but a lot of people have had really good things to say about Anne Rule, so I suppose I'ma find out soon. The next one that I got is it's a bit of a weird one for me. I'm not much of a classic dystopian sci-fi lover, but it's The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. So I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I'm going to say that I have like little to like zero interest in reading this book, but I'm a good freaking friend. My podcast partner in crime, Kirsty, absolutely loves this book. It is one of her favourites, and so I have promised that I will give it a go, and I hope that I don't regret it. One that I know I'm not going to regret is In an Absent Dream by Shauna Maguire, which is the fourth book in the Wayward Children series, and I am obsessed with this series. Can't even speak, I'm so excited. I, like everybody else in the entire world, it feels like, certainly on BookTube, have been waiting for this book for a really, really long time, and I'm so glad that it's finally in my sticky hands, because the books appear to be getting larger as they go, and that makes me very happy. So this series is a portal fantasy series. It sits somewhere around new adult, but without, you know, the emphasis on the kissing. And it is about a group of children who fell through portals into worlds that were perfect for them, like Alice in Wonderland or Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and then they were unceremoniously kicked out of those worlds. Those worlds no longer wanted them for whatever reason, and now they're having to try and adjust to the real world. And Eleanor West runs a home for wayward children, wherein she takes in people who have lost their doors and are still desperately trying to find the way back through their doors. These books are also really interesting in that they go present day, prequel, present day, prequel. So this is a prequel book, and this is about one of the characters that we were first introduced to right at the very beginning in the first book, Lundy, and it is about her door, and her door takes her to the Goblin Market. And oh boy, when I heard that, I was excited. I am still excited. I have promised I'm going to read these aloud to my lovely wife Helen, and I think I'm going to have to just read this one and then read it again this year when I read it to her, because I don't think I can wait. I don't think I can wait to read them all through and get to this one. Okay, I'm going to try and calm down now. It's so pretty though. Also, from my extremely highly anticipated list, I picked up The Hunting Party. I am trying to stay a little bit ignorant about this one because I suspect that it's going to be one of those that gives away quite a lot in the blurb, but from what I understand, this one is about a group of people who go to a lodge in Scotland specifically to hunt things. How nice. And they get stuck there, and a body turns up, and it's pretty much one of those locked doors. We're stuck in here by the elements, we cannot leave, and one of us is a killer things that I love so very much. It's basically And Then There Were None, only with snow instead of lots of water. Next up, I have a little project that I've been working on for the month. So I talk a lot about unhauling books, and about, you know, if a book has got to the point where it no longer has any kind of value to you, it's not making you happy sitting on your shelves, it's just making you feel pressured, and maybe you've fallen out of love with it, or maybe you just don't know when you're freaking going to get to it and you need the shelf space, or maybe, you know, you've heard bad reviews about it and now you've decided you don't want to try it. I don't care. I say if you want to get rid of the book, just get rid of the freaking book. So I've talked a lot about that. I advocate that there's no shame in unhauling books, that it's actually a joyful thing, because, you know, that book's given you all it can give you, and now it's going on to someone else who might find it to be their favourite read in the world, and you've got room for more new ones. However, I very rarely talk about the flip side of that, which is sometimes you unhaul a book or a series and you end up regretting it. You end up like months and months later thinking, I really want to read that, and now I don't have it. That was the case for me with The Grave Mercy, His Fair Assassins series by Robin Lefevers. So I owned this entire series in these editions for quite a few years, and they had been on my shelf for a really long time, and I'd kind of forgotten what they were about and kind of lost the impulse to actually want to pick them up. And so when I was unhauling, I unhauled them. And then, again, it's all Kirsty's fault. Kirsty was talking about this on one of our podcast episodes, and I thought, do you know what? That series sounds just really, really up my alley. I'm really excited about it again. And so I downloaded the sample for the first book and was hooked. But I subsequently discovered that these books, these covers of these books, these beautiful covers of these books, were actually no longer being published. There are new covers, and the new covers are, they're a choice. The new covers are a choice, and they're one that I don't like. So I went on a mission. I managed to find these two brand new, and this one kind of a new. I don't think you would really be able to tell that it's red. It's in really good nick and I'm super pleased about it because it took a really long time and several not in great condition versions before I got this one. Because you know, I don't actually mind if a book is beat up, but I want to be the one to beat it up. You know what I'm saying? So the first book in this series is about Esme. She is sent to the court in Brittany. That's right, it's that kind of historical fiction. You can tell why I had a little bit of hesitation. It's not my usual time period, but... And it turns out that Esme has been trained by literally assassin nuns. Genuinely, honestly, assassin nuns. And now she is playing in a deadly game of treason and intrigue. And I'm so there for it. And it turns out that there's a fourth book coming out this year, which is Courting Darkness with the questionable cover. And this is the reason that Kirsty brought the series up. So I am very happy that there is a completed trilogy and now there's a companion book if I love the trilogy. So let that be a lesson to y'all. You can unhaul and then you can buy them again later on if you wish to do so. And there's no shame. There's nothing wrong with that. Although, you know, it's a bit annoying when the covers that you want don't exist anymore. But thwarted. I was also lucky enough to receive a couple of books this month from Sphere, which is an imprint of Little Brown. And the first one, cannot tell you how excited I am about this book. This is The Woman in the Dark by Vanessa Savage, and the very first thing that I love that this book does before all other things is that it's about a marriage between Sarah and Patrick, who are happily married. They actually like each other, they support each other. The problem is external to their marriage. Thank you, thriller gods. So Sarah's mother dies and she hits a pretty hard downward spiral. She really struggles to deal with her grief, and so Patrick suggests that they just get away from everything and that they go to his childhood home. This is a seaside house. It's a definite getaway from everything that they're used to. But there's a tiny catch. And that's that although Patrick has really good memories of this place, of growing up there and being very happy, everybody else in town calls it the murder house. The murder house. Named after a family who were all killed there. And Patrick's sure that he can make it fine again. New, nice, happy memories. Bad things happen. It's total. This book was written for me. For me. The next one that I have is an interesting one because it's from an author who is very prolific for writing one particular series, and this is a standalone, and I really love it when that happens because occasionally I'm interested in a really long series, and especially with a crime series I won't invest unless there's a way for me to check out that author's writing outside of their long running series. So that is what's happened with this one and I'm excited for it. This is The Buried Girl by Richard Montanari. So this one is about psychologist Will Hardy. His wife is killed and so he and his young daughter move to Ohio. I'm not entirely sure why they end up in a dusty old shut up mansion, but that's where they go. That's where they are. Meanwhile, in this little town, there is a police detective who is investigating the case of a missing local girl, and she believes that this local girl and this old shut up mansion are linked, that the cases are essentially one and the same. And then Will finds a diary written over a century earlier, and again, bad things happen. Do we see a theme? Do we see a theme? The next one that I've picked up is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I'm very excited for this one too because it's urban fantasy and I am just such in the mood for urban fantasy right now. It's kind of all I want to read. It's like candy floss for my brain no matter how much death there is in it, and I want it. So this one is about Domingo, who is a street kid in Mexico City, and he essentially picks through garbage in order to sell things to make money to eat. And it turns out that Mexico City is one small oasis, well, kind of a big oasis, but whatever, in a sea of vampires. And Domingo is going about his normal everyday routine when one of those vampires who is on the run turns up and thinks that he looks like a tasty snack. So in this world, all of the vampires are descended from Aztec gods or blood drinkers, or both of these things together, and they can only eat young people. They can only drink from young people, and Domingo fits that bill. And then Domingo does a very unexpected thing and charms the pants off this vampire, who then ends up caring about him quite a lot. Also, can we talk about how this cover is awful and this cover is fabulous, and why do we have this cover? Like, why? And finally, the last one that I have is a non-fiction memoir slash essay collection from Dolly Alderton, and that is Everything I Know About Parties, Dates, Friends, Jobs, Life, Love. Love. Everything I Know About Love. Which, admittedly, in Dolly's case, is not very freaking much, and I think we can all relate to that, can't we? So Dolly Alderton is a journalist, or was a journalist. I don't think she writes for the Sunday Times anymore, but she did for a really, really long time. And this is touted as a heartbreaking memoir which really deals with self-sabotage in all of these areas: friends, jobs, loved ones. And self-sabotage is definitely something that I deal with in my life, and I am very motivated to find a way to stop doing that. Kay, thank you. Please, I would like that. And so when I spotted this one, I was I hemmed and hawed a little bit, because Dolly Alderton's not always my speed. But then the book started with this section, which is Everything I Knew About Love as a Teenager, and I was like, yeah, that was me. Yep. Okay. Can relate. I'm now going to read the book. So that's what I'm going to do. It's split up into quite like short essays, and being a bit fat and being a bit thin and gooseberry full, My Life is the Third Wheel are essay titles which very much correspond to my experiences. So, and that is everything. That was a freaking lot. That was a freaking lot, and it's only mid-February, and I have fear. I need to stop. I need to be banned. I need to remember my goal, that I have a total in my head for the year that I don't want to go over, and just slow your roll, sister, slow your roll. Also, I feel like I need to read all of these right now. I should probably start with this one, it will make me feel better. So yeah, that is everything that I have spent my worldly goods to get. Have you read any of these books? Please make me feel good about buying them by telling me about them down in the comment section. And are there any other books? I feel bad asking that, but I always do ask it in a book haul. Are there any other books that you think that I would like, that you could tell me about, that I can buy and make myself feel better with? Because that's what anxiety does. It's me as an entire person. Just tell me happy things. We're not about the shame, we're about the enjoyment. I really, really, really do need to go read this book now. Okay, bye. Also, my mental health would probably be good if I actually slept at night. You know, that might help. What is this face? I should never do that again. That's a bad camera angle for me. Okay, actually, bye.